Just finished up the bikepacking route, Canaan Valley in the Forks of Cheat. Wanted to share with you all a review. Might help you plan your trip. This route's on bikepacking.com. It's contributed by Marco. It's a great route. It's 102 miles, 8,000 feet of climb, difficulty level 4, and that seems right. The logistics are very easy. Resupply is easy. It's just that climb that adds to the difficulty level. Very rideable. There's only one section that's got a little bit of hike a bike, and even that's not continuous. It's just kind of on and off the bike for a little bit for about a 3-mile stretch, and after that it's smooth sailing. You're gonna have the hills, you're gonna have the climbs, but it'll be rideable through all that. For this route, I highly recommend parking at Blackwater Lodge. It's a great spot. Went in, talked to the people there, and they were good with storing the car overnight. Felt comfortable, and I never worried about that while I was out on the ride. That's always one of the biggest things that last several miles of the ride. As you're coming back to your parking spot, is your car going to be there? I wasn't worried about that. Blackwater Lodge, great spot, and it's directly on the route, so it gives you some options. You can either turn right directly out of the lodge and go right into the route, or you can cut back a little bit, and if you want to start with the falls rather than ending with Blackwater Falls. So I went all the way back to the start of the route. Not necessary. If I was to do it again, I'd probably turn left out of Blackwater Lodge, go to the Blackwater Falls to check that out, and then backtrack from there. But if you wanna look at the falls, the very last thing of your ride, and then just turn right out of the lodge and go directly into the route. The only other reason you might want to backtrack a little bit, start from closer to the beginning of the route, is if you want to stop by Blackwater Bikes. They're awesome in there. They have some gear, and they're very knowledgeable on the area, so they can let you know if anything's going on with the route, or if anything's washed out, or any places to avoid. They seem to be pretty in tune with that sort of thing, so it'd be a pretty good resource to start with them as well. Bikepacking.com says the route's about 65% gravel. I think that's in the right area there. You start off on some smooth pavement, and then as soon as you hit gravel, that first gravel section you hit is the rocky, rutted out section. It's going to be difficult. That area of the U.S. gets a lot of rainfall, so there's going to be some water, some standing water, some puddles, and some of those you can't really see, or so deep you can't really see what's going on in there. So there's some big rocks in there. So some you can go through because they're shallow. Some it's best to get off the bike. So you're kind of on and off the bike for a little bit, and it's real rough. And you're going to be wondering, hey, why did I bring this bike? Really, no bike's great for this section. I should be on a side-by-side. Don't worry, that section's about 3 miles. You're going to be wondering, hey, when's the turn? I want to turn off this road. You don't turn off that road. You just keep going, and then all of a sudden, it just smooths out, and it's good from there on out, and the rest of the route is good. That's the only section of the route that's like that, and where you're getting on and off the bike for a little bit. Several of the people in the comments on bikepacking.com said that they did the route, I think with close to like 30 millimeter tires. I did it with 40 millimeter tires that were a little bit nubby. For me, that seemed right. I wouldn't go lower than that, just because there was a bunch of sections with looser gravel, so those skinnier tires are going to have a little more difficulty with that. But take that with a grain of salt. I'm someone who always tries to err on the side of too big rather than too skinny for the tire. So people have done it with skinnier. For me, that 40 millimeter range seemed right. I wouldn't want to go too much lower than that, just because there were several newer, looser gravel sections they're going to get a little difficult with those skinny tires. I found the route great, super enjoyable. I really love mountain views, country views. This route really mixes those in great. You'll be out in the country, be able to see the mountains on both sides, and then you'll get into those climbs, more foresty, more wooded areas, and and then it'll open back up again into more country, and it mixes it up really well between pavement and gravel, some more pavement, more gravel. Um, a really enjoyable ride. Constantly kind of changing the terrain you're riding on and changing the visuals. Really makes for an enjoyable experience. The one thing that they could do a little bit better is marking the areas on the actual map. Resupply is really easy on this route, but it's not marked out that well on the map. If you like filtering water, you're going along water for a lot of the route, so that's really easy. Not a problem there. You'll always have some water as long as you have a filter. You're good. But really, there's enough resupply throughout where if you plan it, uh, you don't have to filter water at all. So I would like to see those places added to the map. And some of those places I'd really like to see added were at about mile marker 24. There's a bike shop, Think Labs. Place was awesome. Anytime you got a bike shop on a route, it should definitely be on the map because they could take care of mechanicals. They had food there, top off the water bottle, and they even have hot food as well. For me, they weren't even open yet. I was there a little bit early, but there was somebody there doing some work, and they saw me passing by, invited me in, uh, sold me some stuff, sold me some hydration, some fuel to get me going, and they have some bikepacking stuff there as well. So they have some bags if you're having any kind of issue with your gear, and then obviously it's full bike shop, so they can help with any mechanicals or anything you got going on too. So really great stop. Like I said, about mile marker 24. So not just a bike stop, but also a food stop. So that should be on the map. And then if for some reason they're closed, then a little bit after there's a couple places with hot food within the next mile that you can stop and fill up the water bottles, get some food. Beyond that, there was also just a little bit before Bearhaven, if you're going the clockwise route, there is the Lodge, which was a great place to stop and eat. They only take cash, but it's a really nice restaurant. You can get a good meal. I was passing by on the bike. They took great care of me. Filled up the water bottles. I think they even sent them through the dishwasher, which might have been getting a little dirty by that point in the route. So they were super awesome. The food was terrific, and a little bit on the price you're in, but it's at the very end of the day, and you're not that far from camp. So a really good place to stop, eat, resupply, and it's one of them. A big reason why I recommend doing it the clockwise route. I think rideability, you could go clockwise, counterclockwise, not that big a deal. But for the experience, I really like going the clockwise route because you can hit that lodge right before, a couple miles before Bearhaven, and you're camping for the night. And then you can sleep, wake up early in the morning, hit the Bickle Tower Observatory early in the morning so you can get those good morning views, and then head down and do your descent. So really like that about the clockwise route. The other camping option is you can hit you go past Bearhaven, hit the observation tower, do the descent, and then at the end of the descent, there's some dispersed camping. I didn't look at that site. Bearhaven was a great campsite. It's $5. Great place to stay for the night. So really recommend doing it the clockwise route just for those logistics of having a good meal at the lodge, being able to see the observation tower early in the morning, getting those morning views, and then hitting that big descent. Also, the map doesn't really list it out, but you're going to pass through Parsons and Thomas. Parsons, there's a little shop and save. I was able to reload hydration wise, and if you need any bars or anything, it's just a little grocery store. You can get whatever you need. And then Thomas is towards the very end of the ride. Have a bunch of cute little restaurants. It's like a cute little artsy town. Gets pretty busy on the weekend. Looked like they had some really good food options. Then you're going to roll into Davis. They got a couple good food options if you want to hit that before the end of the ride. And then just depending on where you parked, if you want to do the falls at the end of the ride, if you've already done those, want to go back to the lodge. But I recommend doing the falls early, just because towards the end of the ride, I'm less apt to stop and see see the good sights. You're only a mile or two from your car, so for me, that's why I like doing the falls very first thing of the ride, and then that way, I just keep zooming on through Davis, go right back to the lodge, and start unpacking the bike. Another great thing about this ride is at the end of it, once you get to Davis, there's Blackwater Bikes. Stop by repping some merch. They you can stop by, talk to them. They love talking routes. They got some great bike stuff there. And they also have a bike cleaning station. So into the ride, I got to hose off my bike, clean everything up, and get it all nice and pretty before I did the last couple miles and loaded the bike on the car and headed back home. So for me, I really enjoyed this route. Country views, mountain views are some of my favorites. This combines both of those. The rideability, bikepacking.com's listed 99.9% rideable. That seems right. You're just on and off your bike for that little 3-mile section at the beginning. Everything else is rideable. Views are great. Ascents, the climbs aren't too crazy. I was a little worried about the climb in day 2. The long climb, I think from Parsons up to Thomas. It's a long climb, but the grade's steady throughout the whole thing. So very rideable, very approachable for anyone. The map makes it look very steep and very long. It is a kind of a prolonged climb, but very doable. And there's a couple places where you can stop, get in the water nearby to kind of cool off, wash off. And really not just there, the whole route is by water. So there's some good places to stop and take a dip, cool off if it's the right time of the season. I did this at the end of July 2023. So that was perfect. It was about 10 degrees cooler up in the mountains than it was down below. So temperatures were perfect. You weren't really dealing with that brutal summer heat. And there were a bunch of cool off points. I would say, even though you're by water for a lot of the time, there's not a whole lot of easy access entry into the water. You'd be going down some steep descents and stuff to get in the water. So if you see one of the easier access points, stop there, because you might not see another one for a while. So my overall thoughts were I loved the ride. The only thing I'd like to see improved really is the map, and then just adding some of those resupply spots, the bike shop to that, just so it could build out a little bit and make you feel a little more comfortable with where those resupplies are. Because if you do miss the Lodge Alpine, then you're going to kind of go the longest section without being next to water, and that's right where that overnight camping sections are. So it'd be good to know exactly where those resupplies are, so you can kind of plan out that ride a little bit better. But other than that, the ride's great, the views are great, the parking is perfect. It's kind of tough on these rides to find, hey, where's a good spot to park. Blackwater Lodge is perfect. Saw some other bikepackers leaving from there. So, really good spot. The route's doable on any bike, but this route's really built for gravel bike. Don't need too wide of tires. Just whatever will get you through that loose gravel, and whatever you'll feel comfortable on will be perfect, and it'll get the job done for you. So no need for suspension at all. You'll probably be cursing me for saying that once you're in that little rocky section, but once you get past that, gravel bike is definitely the way to go. So enjoy it. Hopefully you have a lot of fun. If you did it, let me know in the comments how it went. I really enjoyed it, and if you have any other routes out east that you like going on, leave them in the comments. I want to know about them, and I want to get out there.